bros. Welcome to the PERFORMA POPcast. I'm your host, Peter Sirs, and we have a very special guest. If you guys have been listening to this podcast from the beginning or at any point, if you listen to more than just this episode, sometimes I get to interview people, introduce you guys to people that I know personally. And then other times we get to know the people together because there are some of these people I'm meeting for the first time. So our guest today is someone I'm just meeting for the first time. So you're going to get to know her while I get to know her. She is a personal trainer. She was born in Colombia, now living in New Jersey in the United States. She started off as a soccer player, and then an injury to her ACL kind of led her down a different path. And through recovering from her injury and everything, you know, she had a mentor, and then she got into competing, and then she ended up competing on stage, and then that led to her being a trainer. And so now she's been through all these things, and she's going to tell us all about them. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for our guest, Vanesa Zuluaga.
Hey, you said that right.
Hola, bienvenido.
Hola.
So yeah, she's from Colombia. I speak a little Spanish, you guys, but I'm gonna not, you know, because I know that not everyone speaks Spanish. So first of all, hello, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Finally,
we did it.
Yeah, we made it.
Yeah.
I host a couple podcasts, and doing them through Zoom is actually like it's more convenient because you can just, you know, log in and whatever, but like it's so hard to schedule people when we do it through. I don't know why, but so we got you. We're good.
And I also believe the whole thing that we went through kind of helped out to, you know, put this together with like being able to communicate with somebody. Like if you live in California, I'm in New Jersey, like it would be crazy to travel around, you know, like not being able to. So this definitely made it a little bit easier too. So we can connect with people even more.
Agreed. Yeah. And I think like obviously now this is almost over. I mean, it's not completely over, but like we can go out and do things now. We don't have to wear masks everywhere. So it's like kind of over. But
well, I think we opened like 3 weeks ago or something like that.
I mean, yeah, California just fully opened. Well, by the time people hear this, it probably will have been up. But like right now, we're recording this the first week of July, basically, and California's been open for like 3 weeks. So
yeah. Oh, okay. So around the same time. Yeah, but like you say, finally, it's a little light at the end of all this, you know.
Yes,
like how we're talking about, you know, we missed the shows, we missed the expos where we get together with the people we've been haven't seen in a while. So it's gonna be nice.
I definitely missed the Fit Expo. That's I mean, the Fit Expo, we have a big one in LA every year. And for like, I probably have been going to the Fit Expo since like 04 or 05. Like, and so I've seen at least the LA Fit Expo grow to like, it's this huge thing now. Like, I mean, have you ever been to the LA one?
I have not. I went to the Olympia and the Arnold.
Okay.
But I haven't been to that one yet.
I feel like Olympia is probably a little bit different vibe because it's all people that are competing and then people that are into like that world. But like the Fit Expo, it's like, if you walk in now, there's like companies that have like go-go dancers dancing on the thing and like DJs spinning. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I just want some pre-workout, dude. I'm not trying to go to the like I'm not trying to go to the club.
I don't know how true it is, but they also have, I'm guessing, like the old types of training, like not just bodybuilding. They have powerlifting going on and other stuff too.
Yeah, everything. I mean, I'm talking the LA Fit Expo. They have like, you know, they'll have like aerobics classes. They'll have, you know, like you said, like powerlifting, strongman type stuff. Not last year. Well, I guess it was last year, technically, 2020. They had like a little mini obstacle course, like ninja course kind of thing. Like dance classes, like all kinds of stuff. But then they also have like all the brands. So like for me as a fitness person, like I love going to them because I get to learn about, you know, all these supplement companies that are coming out, or just even that have been like, I've discovered everything I take like supplement wise is something that I tried at some point at the Fit Expo. And then I was like, oh, I love this. This is great. So yeah, I am very excited to go back and see.
I know, I can't wait. And most of it all, you know, you have like everybody that you can connect with, you know, like
Right.
even when I do like shows and stuff, I connect with people that they're from, I don't know, some Iowa or something like that, or Tennessee.
Right.
But then I can't connect with them because we don't live, or you know, in the same state. But then in big events like this, everybody kind of goes, so everybody all kind of comes in at the same time. So that's always nice.
So Vanessa, I know you grew up in Colombia, right?
Yes.
Did you, okay, this is a question that I have to ask because this is, you know, a pop culture themed podcast. So, and I'm sorry if this is offensive at all, but like when I think of Colombia, I think of Pablo Escobar.
I knew that was coming.
I mean, I do. I'm sorry. Like,
yes.
I've never been. I know it's beautiful because I know people that like. Actually, one of my friends just got back from Medellin, and like I'm seeing pictures, and I'm like, what, like I would love to go. Obviously, like for a while there, we couldn't go, right? Like, wasn't it?
Yeah. So there was certain places that you couldn't even like travel to by bus. So you get a bus, you know, like let's say from Florida to Orlando, you know, South Florida to Orlando. So things like that. Sometimes you couldn't do that type of drive because it was kind of dangerous during that time.
Right.
We're talking about back in like 19 something, you know,
like the 70s, 80s, right?
70s, 80s, you know, maybe even going into the 90s,
Okay.
you know, a little bit. But yeah, you couldn't travel like that. But like nowadays, like if you notice now, I mean, I don't mean to put this country out there, but Mexico.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm Mexican, so yeah, we could talk about it a little bit. Like the cartels, the cartels
so,
very much.
They kind of took over that. Okay. So like now we're like a lot safer. Like those places that you couldn't travel to, now you can go. Even now, like a lot of people don't know, but where Pablo Escobar had all those crazy animals and La Hacienda, which is like where he lived, you can actually go there now, and it's a museum, and you can see like animals and all that stuff. But you know, now I'm hoping that, you know, Colombia ends up winning the World Cup soccer, and then somehow like that becomes more of like what we're known for.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean,
it's like I just feel like I mean, especially like, I mean, I knew who Pablo Escobar was, and I think like I feel like most people do, but like when Narcos came out, like it really kind of glamorized it. So I feel like people were like, wow, I want to go to Colombia now. I know they have like Pablo Escobar tours in Colombia, like so like that's like weird.
Yeah, there's this little pueblo that like he helped, you know, putting all those soccer fields, and it was a very poor, you know, area, and he gave money to those people. So technically, you know, they have it painted like this right here, kind of, but just Pablo Escobar. So it was kind of like that. So people go there because that's kind of where he grew up, where everything was, and then where all that stuff is. And people like love to go and see those areas. And all the houses, you can see them still like a little bit burnt. You can see them like, you know, you can still see all that stuff. So it became like an attraction.
Right. Right.
But I'm like happy, and I'm so glad to say that like now to go back to Colombia is safe. You know, there's danger everywhere you go, no matter where you are. You just have to know where to go. And it's not like you're not gonna go into like somewhere that there's no people, or you know, somewhere that you don't know. So I think it's easy to say that it's good to go. So anybody can go and they'll be okay.
I would love to go. So what was it like growing up in Colombia? You're our first Colombian guest that we've had on this show. So enlighten us on
Well, I do gotta say, like I moved there when I was kind of here when I was a little bit younger, but I went back because I lived in Florida. So I moved from Colombia to Miami. So from Miami, it wasn't that far to go back and forth. All my family's there. So I used to go 2-3 times a year to visit them. So I don't remember much as when I was younger. I remember a few things, but more when I go back and I see, you know, and I go back now.
Okay.
But I do gotta say, like, the culture is beautiful. Like, you know, like I lived in Miami where there's no mountains. So like going back there and like seeing mountains, and I gotta say, like, if you go there with like $1,000, you'll be good for a long time. Like,
so I could ball out in Colombia?
Yes, absolutely. Cool. The prices are insane. And like, well, depending where you go. When I went, it was like around $4,000. So you can buy like, an arepa empanadas for like 25 cents.
Oh, wow.
So we used to go to the corner lady and just buy all of the ones that she has for like less than $10.
Right.
So, the money wise, when you go from here to there, I mean, you can have a very fun time there.
Okay, I like
You
that.
can do many things.
I feel like Mexico is similar, but I don't think it's that much. But like,
Yeah, no, Mexico's a little bit more.
Yeah.
We actually went to Mexico where, we went with Paris Labs. It was the We Are Pro in Mexico. So I can see the prices be a little bit more, but it's all depending on the time when you go, because right now instead of 4,000, it's like 3,500 in Colombia.
That's still pretty good.
I think it just all depends on the time, but you can have a good time.
Now, Colombia, from what I know, is one of the countries where you can go and get like stem cells done.
Oh my God, I'm so glad that you actually even mentioned that.
Oh, okay, great. Because I like, my back is a little messed up, and like I feel like if I just got some stem cells, then I'd be like good. But I know there's not a lot of places you can do it, but I know Colombia is like one of the places, right?
If I'm not wrong, when I started researching stem cells, they were actually in Costa Rica where it all started. So, but it all started just because of baseball players or things like that, but not for like normal people.
Right. Yeah.
So now Colombia and Medellin, they actually have somewhere where they're doing stem cells for everything. And I know a few UFC fighters, a few baseball players actually gone there and they actually got into treatment. And now they're doing it for health. So people who have, Crohn's disease, anything with your IV, digestive or anything like that, like it actually has been helping. So I'm actually, it was last year when I was supposed to go because I wanted to, to see it because I was interested. And because I know a few UFC fighters have been doing it with the shoulders and things like that. And when you lift a lot, you get a little aching somewhere. So I wanted to know about it too. And because of my knee situation that we'll get into, I fully recover, but I still feel like I can be a weather person. Like if it rains, if it snows, I feel the ache. So I still feel like sometimes it does bother me and it prevents me to do a lot of things like, when I squat heavy, things like that. So I was actually researching going to Medellin to do that last year, but then all happened. So I'm waiting for this year, maybe end of this year or next year to go over there and actually go into that place.
I said, you're pronouncing it Medellin? Yeah. I said Medellin. I said it wrong. I'm sorry.
No, I think it's the 2 L's. It gets everybody. Medellin. So like the double L is like, we kind of say Medellin. Okay. But that's actually pretty good. I was impressed by the time you said my last name. At least you said my last name right, so I think everything else is good.
Like like I said, I'm okay in Spanish, but like just sometimes if I'm not familiar with a word, I may not pronounce it right. And so I hear it and then I'm like, oh, that's how you say it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were a soccer, like you were amazing in soccer, right? Like you were thinking you were going to go pro in soccer at some point, right?
Yeah, since I was young, that's always been my dream. I played soccer from my mom said before I even walked, I was like kicking the little soccer balls. Okay. So she's like, hey, by the time you saw soccer on TV, like that was your dream. So I don't know if it's true. To this day, she says that it's true. So I believe it because every single time, like in Colombia back then, I'm a little older. Yeah. So back then they didn't have, they have school, but it was for only girls. And back then, girls don't play soccer. They only play volleyball. They do cheerleading. So when I went to this like private schooling, something, they call it monjitas, which is like the nuns. Monitas? So I went to like monjitas, yeah. So you went to like a private Catholic school type of thing. Got it. I will bring in my backpack like a soccer ball. And during recess, I will put all the girls to play soccer. So I would always get in trouble like at least twice a week because I wanted to play soccer. They're like, no, you're not supposed to play that. You're not supposed to play that. And then fast forward now, I went back the first time and now they have a soccer team for girls.
Oh wow, that's
All
great.
that stuff. Yeah. But like, so since I was young, I always loved to play it. And I have a twin brother, and I have mostly like,
You have a twin brother.
I do.
Oh, okay.
He is 6'3", 260 pounds.
Oh, wow.
I know, he's like twice my size. It's
Wow.
crazy. So then I played soccer with them. Everything was always like with my uncles. We always play soccer. And then, I moved to Miami, and then I always, that was my whole thing. I want to play soccer. Then I got into middle school soccer. I never had a private coach. I never had like, now you can pay those lessons. Like it was always
Yeah.
skills I taught myself, and that was just my passion.
Right.
So I got into middle school, played, high school I played, and then during high school, I got like a semi-scholarship, because you can only get a scholarship during senior year. But they
Right.
saw me like in 10th grade, and then say, hey, we want you to come to this university and play for us. We just have to run to your, this time where we're looking at you. So they sent me the paperwork, blah, blah. Then my 11th year came around, and I was playing and everything all by myself, and then everything was going well, and then I ended up just turning, because us as women, we have our hips are a little bit different than guys. So
No.
yes, if you guys didn't know. There's a thing that,
I was just having this conversation with somebody yesterday, because my like, I know like a lot of girls like to take like bar classes, like,
yes,
and guys, like I've taken them before, and like, I could squat and deadlift and all those things, but there's something about like if you're like, for a woman, you guys have, your hips are made for childbirth,
yes,
like they're
exactly.
made for that. And so like, I feel like in a bar class, like a woman can sit in like a hold and keep those muscles under tension for longer, even if there's not a lot of weight, versus how long a guy can. And I was just saying, I'm pretty sure it's because just biologically their hips are supposed to be stronger because of that.
That now that you mentioned that, I don't know if you saw it, or maybe you heard of it. There was a like a challenge a couple maybe weeks or months ago, that people will go underneath, and then the woman will bring their hands back, and then like supposedly the guy couldn't hold himself just on his knees,
Yes.
and he pull back down. Did you see that challenge?
Yeah.
I wonder if that has anything to do
Yeah.
with the hips.
I mean,
Maybe.
that's my, like I said, I mean, I've been in fitness forever, but like, that's just my guess. But like I said, because if you see guys in a bar class, they're dying. But
Yes.
those same guys could squat 400 pounds. And then the women are in the bar class, and they're killing it. And then, but they can't squat I mean, maybe, I'm sure some women could squat 400 pounds. I'm just saying, like, I think there's something about just being under like that kind of tension for a long period of time. I could be
Yeah.
wrong. And
Do you agree?
our listeners are probably like, no, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. I mean, it's just,
They're probably screaming at like the computer right now, like, no, it's not that. Listen, but they can leave it in a comment.
yeah.
Let us know,
Yes. Thank you.
But that was the thing. So since if you notice a lot of like the injuries when it comes to ACL, meniscus, cartilage, anything like that on your knee, most percentage is women, like the less percentage guys, and it's because of their hips.
Interesting.
So I did a wrong turn, and then just to get the ball, like reflex, and I ended up just like turning my knee. And then, that night I couldn't walk. I went to the hospital. The guy tells me, hey, all you need to do is just go to physical therapy, and then you'll be okay. And I'm like, okay, that's good. So fast forward I'll try to tell the full story like as fast as possible. So like 6 months passed by, went to physical therapy, and then I tried to go back to like soccer. But it was funny because I will try to grab the ball and I will try to straighten my knee, and the ball just passed me. And I'm like, how didn't I just get that? That's a pass. Like this is the easiest thing you could do.
Right.
And so something didn't seem right. So then my senior year came around, when I got the scholarship for college, and they were like, oh, like this is the year, like we gotta see in the finals. So I went to try out for the same school that I was playing with, and my knee would just not be 100%. Like I couldn't make a full pass, it will lock. So I didn't end up making the team.
Oh man.
So then after that, I was like, wow, like this sucks. Like this is my whole thing. So I tried to find like a different thing to do. And we used to, I have a friend who we played for Colombia for the U17. So I started playing with him. We were older, but he was playing in Colombia when he was 17. And I had a friend who he plays for the USA right now for the deaf team. So us three, we ended up just starting playing.
Wait, did you say the deaf team?
Yeah, like the deaf team, like they don't have 100%.
So there's a soccer team that's just deaf people?
Yes, they're disability.
Right.
So it'd be people with like deaf, yeah. So he played for them. Huh. He is actually really good.
Yeah.
He put me to shame. Yeah, so he was playing with them. So we ended up doing like a thing where we go to a park. And then in the park, they used to have like actual teams that played. So, you know, we played and all that stuff. And then like, you know, we'll do 5v5. We ended up going into like tournaments. And then some scouts saw me play. And they were like, hey, listen, like if you want, like come and try out with us. And then maybe you can come to for our team. And apparently those scouts had to do something with like link to the USA team. Like later on, because I didn't know until way after. And so then I was like, yeah, we'll try out. Happens, I go and play. We're playing super good. It was 3v3. And next thing you know, same thing happened. Right when I was trying out for them. But this time I couldn't walk. So I went to the hospital. This is about like a year later. So I went to the hospital and then they were like, listen, we know this guy who works with a lot of the soccer players. You should go to this guy. So they refer me to this guy. I go to the guy and he tells me that instead of having my ACL, it looks like I had a prior injury that was never fixed that needed surgery. So instead of just my ACL, not like my meniscus were done, my cartilage was gone. So they were like, we have to get you into surgery. So this time I ended up having surgery. So, you know, I've always been very active. I didn't even work out or anything prior to this. My whole thing was always soccer.
Right.
And that was hard because like, you know, like when you're so active and you're always doing things and you're on the go, you know, that's your life. And then you go from like just being able to just be in bed. You can't get up, you can't walk, you can't do anything on your own. So it's kind of like, it just sucked, you know, like, so then I went through a time where I was like, oh my God, like between being depressed and like, I'm like, what am I going to do with my life? You know, like I don't know what to do. Like this was my whole dream since I was young.
Right, that's it. That's the end of the story.
No, I thought you were going to ask me something.
No, I'm just listening. I'm just listening.
Okay, I thought you were going to ask me something.
No,
huh?
No, go ahead. Keep going. Yeah.
So then after that, you know, I started playing video games, like soccer video games, like FIFA 13 or whatever, you know. I was like, this is the only soccer I get to play. So then, you know, like, it just started, like, I wasn't, like, I couldn't move my knee at all. I couldn't bend it. I couldn't do it. My knee was just like this all the time. So then I wasn't able to walk, you know, so everything had to be done for me. So then you get to appreciate a little, like the little things, you know,
right?
Because then you started seeing like, wow, like, you know, the fact that I can't even get up my bed, you know, and like before I could, like, you know, we should be thankful that we're just able to do this.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, sometimes you get up and like, you know, this day and stuff. It's like, we should appreciate this. So then after that, I started getting into like a wheelchair. So I was like, all right, well, at least I can go places.
Now, so are you still, I'm sorry, are you out of high school at this point? Like in between, like what would have been like
I was in like my senior year.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So I was still like, but soccer was done. Like I couldn't play. You know, like I knew by then like that I wasn't able to play. And like, you know, when I didn't come, I wasn't born here. So like when you come here, you're thinking like after high school, they scout you or, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh no, wait. When that happened, when I had like the surgery, because that happened my senior year. I didn't make it. Yeah, that was like the end of my senior year.
Okay.
because I started playing, like, since I wasn't picked for my senior year, I just started like, I need to look another way. So I just started playing a little like a regional park,
Yeah.
because I'm like, I need to find somewhere else to play. So during I was going to high school, I was doing this something else. And so where was I? Oh yeah. So then I went into the wheelchair, but now I couldn't get down the stairs, and I live in a third floor. And I'm like, oh no. So now you're thinking like, I should be appreciated when I can go down the stairs. Like, this like sucks.
Yeah.
So then, then I started thinking, well, what am I gonna do? So then I went to physical therapy for my knee. Now I'm in crutches. So now I'm like able to kind of walk. So going down the stairs for the first time on crutches for me was like, I just want to start the Super Bowl here, or like the World Cup. I was like, oh my God, I just went down the stairs,
Right.
And then I was like, I'm never going to take a day for granted after this. So then I went to physical therapy, and then I always like to help people, like I was telling you earlier.
Yeah.
And I was like, this actually seems like something I like to do. I started talking to the guy that was helping me, like rehab, and I told him my whole story. And then he was like absolutely amazing. And I was like, wow, this is like, he touched my life in a way that I was like, I always like to help people. This is might be something that I would want to do, like physical therapy. So then, that there's a time of just physical therapy. And after that, they're like, all right, you're done. Bye. So then after that, I ended up going to this is my first time I went to when they do those 5Ks, and then they have booths with people.
Yeah.
So over there I went, and there was this booth there was a few people with like supplement, all that stuff. And I was like, I walk in there, and by this time I was a little smaller than like my soccer days. So then this guy comes up to me. He's like, oh, wow, like, do you work out? I'm like, work out? I don't work out. I just got out of surgery. And then he's like, no, you have like a good physique. And I was like, this is probably the first compliment everybody's giving me since like soccer happened and the surgery. So I'm like, are they being nice? Or, they're like, have you ever thought about competing? And I was like, competing in what? And they were like,
this is a great pickup line, by the way.
Yeah, take notes. And
just go up to a girl and be like, are you do you compete? Like, that's a great pickup line. Girl like, right? No, but thank you.
And back then I was talking about soccer. So I was like, yeah, I play soccer. Because back then the competition wasn't even like when you go to a show now, there's over 1,200 competitors.
Right.
When I started competing, there might have been maybe in my first class, in just my class alone, I probably had maybe 25.
Oh, wow. So when did you start competing then? I mean, so you meet this is this the guy that ended up being like your coach?
Yes.
Okay, got it. So
then this guy's like, I told him what happened with soccer. And he's like, well, why don't you let me help you? You finish therapy, you can work out. I'm a personal trainer over here. Why don't you come and then do a training? Oh my God, I'm like, I'm gonna break my leg. I'm like, if I do a squat, I'm gonna break my leg.
Right.
So I actually, I took him, I got his business card and everything, and I was like nervous. I'm like, what am I gonna do? So I tried it, and I will never forget the day where I did a leg press for the first time. This is fast forward a few, training sessions, and I couldn't even do the plate, like the leg press plate. Without any weights. I could barely even move it.
Not even so, like, just the platform on the leg press.
That's the word I was looking for, the platform. I was like, I couldn't even push it. And I thought I'm like, I'm gonna snap my leg. This is it. So it was very mental, but this guy helped me get in, because I was like on a threshold. I was like, all right, so PT happened, and then I felt like, okay, this is over. Like, I have nothing else. Like, there was during that depression time,
Of course.
And this guy was like my little angel. He came to my life and like completely changed me. He's like, this is the training. He started teaching me a lot of stuff with the eating. And he never let me I'm going forward a little bit. But so he helped me, with building my muscle again. And he's like, what do you think about competing? And I was like, competing? I'm not competing. I eat once a day. I drank back then, drink a little bit, water. So then, like I'm Colombian. I like my rice and beans. I like my food.
Yeah.
So I'm not thinking about eating 6 times a day or 5 times a day. And she's like, why don't you just give it a try? So then like my soccer mentality, I feel like it kicked in.
Yeah.
And as soon as we started with the training, I just went like full on from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
I was like on everything. It became like a good drug, because like I was like, what am I gonna do with my life? Into like, wow, like I love this. And meanwhile, I was going for school for physical therapist.
Okay.
So I was doing physical therapy, going to school, and then I was doing the training, and I was like, wow, this is awesome, because physical therapy has to do with, rehab in a way. Well, that's what it is. And then training has to do with the rehab. That's what I meant to say. With the rehab, when you're training, you have to build the muscle and all that stuff. And I'm learning while doing the physical therapy school, muscles and all that stuff.
Yeah, they
So
kind of blend together, training and physical.
I was like, oh my God, like this is what my calling is in life. I always believe God has been in this world for a reason. And I was like, wow, this might be my thing. And then, so he put me through all the stuff. I did my first show, and I kind of started like.
So how old are you at this point? I feel like you're pretty young still when you do your first show, right?
I was, that was probably 2015, I would say. Yeah, because I've been doing it for maybe like 8 years.
So how old were you when you did your first show?
That's a good question. I'm really good with my age.
Okay, how old are you right now? ¿Cuántos años
30.
tienes? 30. Okay, so minus 2015, so you were like 24-ish, 23, 24, probably your first time.
Yeah, I would probably, then you had to be maybe a year prior, because I would say I was probably like 23.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty young to start, though.
Huh?
That's pretty young, like.
Yeah.
I feel like, when you're that young, your body is still kind of changing, right? Like, so you have to go through. I mean, you go from not working out to now you're working out and training to be on stage, but like your body is also just going through changes because that's what it does. So I imagine it's not easy ever, but like I feel like at a younger age it might be a little bit harder because you have to learn that discipline and learn how your body responds to like all these new things that you're doing.
Yeah, and I lived in Miami, and I'm talking about like, because I had to do the building the muscle a little bit more for a good year or so. So if let's say I was 23, and maybe all this stuff started to happen like 2021, let's say, like, and then I had to do the training to build. So that took a good time. It doesn't really happen in like 3 months.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the rehab and all that stuff. So like, at that age in Miami, people are like going out and doing all the stuff. But like, I just, my whole thing during that time was all like, where I started training, and like you say, like, you have to be very dedicated and all that stuff. So, but that kind of changed my thinking, because that kind of made me like, go on a different path.
Yep.
And I started, like you said, I started really young doing it, because usually people around like 26, that's kind of when they decided. And a good point is like, as you're older, you have more muscle maturity, and you have your skin is thinner, so you're able to see more definition. So when you're a little younger, you don't really have the.
Wait, hold on. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Oh, now I can. Okay, sorry.
So then you're going through, that stage so young, you don't really have all that stuff, like with muscle maturity, like a thinner skin, and like years of training.
So our skin gets thinner as we get older?
Yes. When you get thinner, you can actually see more definition.
I'm going to agree, because I'm my oldest, obviously I'm not getting any younger, but like I'm in like like I'm leaner than I've pretty much ever been, and I'm older than I've ever been. So I mean,
That's a
you
good
know.
point. Well, and you realize more like, oh, when I'm older, like, I can't be like when I'm in my 20s. I was like, listen, that's actually a good thing because like you get like once you're past 30, they say like, even muscle wise.
Yeah. Wait, hold on.
What's happening? Okay,
I
there
don't
we go.
know what's going on over there.
I know. So even when you're getting older, you have more muscle maturity. And like you said, like you were saying, like, your skin gets thinner. So there's a lot of good things that come as you age older than like if you're competing with somebody that's younger, because
Right.
if I'm in my 20s and I'm competing against somebody that's on their 32s and they've been doing it for a little bit longer and they have more muscle maturity, like you could definitely see that on stage. When I look
Huh.
at these women's right now and they're on stage at like 30s, 40s, I'm like amazed.
Yeah.
It's incredible, but that's one thing that some younger crowd is missing. Like if you look at the teens, because now they have like a teen or novice categories.
Right.
Like if you compare them to, like even a 30, yeah, they might have a few things that, maybe younger they don't. But if you look at just talking about muscle maturity and their skin, the difference is right there.
Interesting. So okay, so you start competing. Obviously, you really loved it. You get on stage your first show, and you're like, "This is what I'm gonna do, man." Right?
Yeah.
Uh,
I ended up even
you,
that same year, I think I competed like 5 times. I got so into it.
Sweet.
I got like I ended up competing in like, I might be exaggerating, but it was like three shows, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. But there was one thing, like there's just certain things that you don't think about, and like as you compete, and even when was it? A few years ago, I competed back to back, and your muscle actually, like you can only deplete for so long that it starts to like get some of your muscle because you're so depleted and
Right.
you're really done it for so long. Like what's more like another week of just depletion and doing all this stuff, like so you start getting less, like it starts to eat up your muscle, if you want
Got
to put
it.
it in quotes.
Yeah.
So that's why we also take our off season, because you need to like grow again, and we can't be like competing back to back.
Right.
Yeah, that year I ended up doing that until the coach was like, hey, listen, you need to grow now a little more. And then after all this, we'll go back into this. So after that, he started teaching me during all this off season and all that stuff. He's like, so what do you want to do? And so I'm telling you, he became like my mentor, my everything. So then, not dating, just put it out there. Just like, when you say you meet that like one person in your life that they're like a little angel, like
Right.
this guy, and not just for me, like anybody who was in our team, and if they ever listened to this call, it was Iron Squad back then, like they know this guy went like anything anybody in his team needed, he was always there. Like he was like it was incredible. I never met anybody like that. He
Okay.
would give his car away if somebody needed somewhere to a kid needed like food, he'd go shopping for him. Like this guy was amazing.
Got
So
it.
then he took me under his wing and he's like, listen, let me teach you the whole training, because I didn't know anything. I was playing soccer. So he teach me the whole thing with like training, nutrition. And he didn't let me, I would sit next to him because he would do, other people's nutrition and stuff that they were competing. And he would have me sit next to him every single hour, just listening to why he's changing what their diets are and what he's doing with the person. And then he'll explain it to me. So I started learning a lot from him. And he would never let me train anybody during this time or coach anybody. He's just like, you're here to learn. So I'm like, okay. So I went for a long time. I was, learning. That he let me train somebody, and because he had his own studio now.
Okay.
So then we opened up the studio, and then and then this guy teach me everything. He was my mentor and everything. But then fast forward a little bit more, competing and all that stuff, I moved to New York.
Okay.
When I moved there, like this is when all that stuff happened. Like a year after that, I ended up finding out that, he passed away. So
Your mentor passed away.
yes, my mentor passed away.
Sorry.
So then, that was hard. That was very hard for me because, and the whole team itself, you know, because we all knew he was so young. He was like 31, 32.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was young. And he had nothing to do. I know people go right into that. He was probably doing some like stuff and it's, you know, it was just like a surgery. Like a surgery was the thing that, you know, it just happened naturally. So
He had like a botched surgery of some sort.
yeah, he had something because he tore like something here.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it was his rotator cuff, something. And so he had a surgery or bicep, something he tore. So he had the surgery. So then he would always take care of everybody, but not themselves. You know what I mean? There's always that one. So he never really got checked. He was more focused on like, okay, this person's competing, this one's competing. And then he never really, you know, he never really checked after like something that he needed. He ended up getting like a blockage or something like that there.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So that was hard. But you know, by that time I was like, wow, that kind of hit me hard. Well, of course it hit me hard, but I was like, what do I do? So I was like, I just, you know, I was a trainer when I moved to Brooklyn too. So I was like, you know, my cousin is doing this, whatever he teach me, and just keeping his legacy going. And everywhere I go, like, you know, when I do a show, I always wear, you know, or our shirt. So, and like me and his mom, we have like a good connection.
Okay.
So, you know, he's always, you know, he's still here.
Got it. Yeah, of course. You're keeping his memory alive.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're training now, but now you're in New Jersey.
Yes. So it's crazy. I'm all over the place.
Yeah. So you went from Colombia to Miami to Brooklyn. Now you're in Jersey.
Yes. I like it more. Sorry.
What?
I like it more.
You like Jersey the best?
No, I love Miami. I want to go back to Miami.
Okay.
But compare Brooklyn to here, like you have so much more space.
Like
oh my
more,
God.
Like more, it's not as crowded, right?
Absolutely.
What part of New Jersey are you in?
I live down by Long Beach Island.
Okay.
So it's a little bit like by Atlantic City. Everybody knows Atlantic City. So I'm a little bit more north from there, Tom's River.
Oh, Tom's River, yeah.
Yes, I'm a little lower than that.
That's where Todd Frazier played Little League.
Really?
Todd Frazier's he was a Major League Baseball player. I don't think he's on. Yeah,
well,
they like made it to the Little League World Series, like, I don't know, probably like 20 years ago or something. But that was it made that little town famous. I remember that.
You know why now that you mentioned that, you know why the town that I live there is famous? Because the guy from Dolphin, I don't know his name, from the Dolphins, Miami.
Dan Marino?
No, he's a new one, young kid, blonde. I forgot his name.
Ryan Fitzpatrick? No, he's not on the Dolphins anymore.
He's there now. He was born here, so this little town became famous because he's on the Dolphins now.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I don't know any Dolphins.
I'll get back to you on that one.
Sorry, Miami Dolphins. If you guys won more, we would know who you are, but you don't.
Somebody drop it in the
comments. So you like New Jersey better then? Okay.
Yeah, I have more space. You know, Brooklyn is very crowded, and there's only apartments. You can't really have a house there.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
They gentrified it too much.
Yes, yeah. And it happened at the right time because, you know, like I have some clients that I do on FaceTime, and then they're in Brooklyn still, and they were saying during this whole
pandemic.
Yes, just like my last name, I can't say it. So yeah, while that time was happening, they said like, you know, they were like 500 square feet apartment, you can't get out. And people in New York, they were, you know, a little bit more, what would be the word? I don't want to offend anybody. They were a little bit more strict when it came to this. So they were more nervous. Nobody would go out if they see you out, you know? So they were like, we were like living in my apartment. So at least here, like, you know, you have a space, you have a backyard you can go into if you're bored. Over there, it's like you can't, everything's closed. Yeah. So I feel like I moved around this good time.
Lucky. Yeah, that's actually, I left LA to go out to the country because I was also tired of being locked up in my little apartment in West Hollywood. I was like, yeah, I went out to the country. We were out, with cows and horses and just lots of land, and I could run for miles and not see a person. Like, it was great. It was
Yes,
it was tough to leave LA for that time, but like, since everything was closed, it wasn't that tough. Like, if LA would have been, if there wasn't a pandemic, I would never have left, but I'm glad that I did, because it made me appreciate it more. But like, I just got to be more free. And also, when I came out to Oklahoma, the gyms were already open.
wow.
Like 2 months into the pandemic, they opened the gyms back up in Oklahoma, and I was like, okay, cool. Well, now I have another reason why I can leave LA. I can go work out.
Yeah.
Couldn't work
So
out.
are you in Oklahoma right now?
Well,
In LA.
right now I'm in Oklahoma, but by the time this airs, I will be in LA. So
okay. Well, that's why, like, even my whole basement, I turned my whole basement into a gym.
yeah.
Yeah, as soon as I moved, I'm like, my whole basement is gonna be just my gym. And that's what I ended up doing. I was like, thank God that I did that, because I wouldn't go crazy not being able to go to the gym. I mean, that's being, because people ask me, going back to, like, when I was, going through the whole surgery recovery, people are like, how can you go to the gym every single day? Or like, nah, I take a few days off, but let's say I'll cardio or something. And they're like, oh, I can't seem to go. I'm like, listen, when you know what it's like not to be able to get out of bed and like appreciate it. Like, I remember that day, whenever I feel like I'm not motivated or I don't want to work out, I always remember, like, wow, like, I remember that day where I couldn't even walk. Like, I should be so thankful that I'm able to do this, and live. That's like a privilege for me to do.
Right. Yeah.
So
Agreed.
like, I appreciate it so much more after all that stuff.
So you're training now, and then you have, I'm assuming you have like a date on the calendar where you're going to compete again as well.
Yeah, so I'm looking for the end of this year. So this is my big 29 plus 1 birthday. So I was like, I cannot be on prep. Sorry, coach, if you're listening to this. So I was like, I cannot have prep this year. So
you didn't want to, you just wanted to go hard. You didn't want to like worry about.
Yeah, because like the past years I've been just always on prep during my birthdays. Because my birthday's in June, and every prep happens to be like, you have to be in prep during June.
Right.
So this time around, I was like, you know what? Like, and I wasn't sure like when the shows were gonna happen, because we just opened a few weeks ago.
Right.
So I was like, I don't want to be in prep and then say, hey, like, we're still not open. So I will be pretty disappointed. So I was like, you know what? Like, after my birthday passes and all that stuff, I'm just gonna focus on that. But even on that prepping, like, I'm always, even though it's the off season, you're always prepping for it, because it has to be, there's like a science behind your off season to get into prep. You don't just go all out and, hey, I eat whatever I want, like, we still prep our meals, we eat every 3 hours.
Yeah, like you're not eating pizza every day and getting hammered every night.
Right, yeah. I do, and people do follow me, they know that I like to go out. But when I go out, like, people think I'm crazy. But then, like, in my car, right before we go out to see a live band or whatever it is, I'll eat my meal. And then when I get to the place, like, my go-to drink is just one vodka water. And it's probably this big, so it lasts me the whole night. And like, I'm Colombian, so all I need is give me some music and I'm okay. I'm awake. I don't need anything else. Right. Just give me music.
You like dancing.
I love dancing. Yeah. I love music. Yeah. So, but during prep and stuff, like, like, I'm like 100% on it. Like, I don't really go out, because your body gets tired. Like, people who are trying to compete for the first time, it's hard, like, if it was easy, I already would be doing it. Right. But like everybody says, but it is like hard. Like, you have to say no to many things, like even like activities, you always have to be like, no, you have to be the boring one. And more when you get closer, not because you don't want to go, it's because you're so tired. So all you do is like work, sleep, train, work, sleep, train. That becomes your thing. But then I tell everybody, it's just for a few weeks. And then after that, you can just go back to doing it.
Right. What's your like, I know everybody has like their meal that they eat like right after the show is done. Like everyone has like, oh, when the show is over, I go to Cheesecake Factory or whatever. Like, what's yours?
I love sweets. I'm
Okay.
telling you, even like after I can get a salad and I'll be happy, but give me sweets. Like
Okay.
I want like what is it? What do they have? Chili's Monte Volcano with ice cream.
Okay.
I was
Yeah.
like, if
Yeah.
you just give me a salad with that, don't even give me the salad. Just give me that, like I'll be happy.
Okay.
Like I'm not a big like food person. I can eat like plain chicken, fish, rice all day long. I don't crave pizza, I don't crave pasta, nothing like that. But sweets, so when my prep
Okay.
starts, anything that's sweets in my house, I have to throw it out
Right.
because I can definitely cannot have it. Like if I have it in my house,
Okay.
I'm eating it.
That's what I tell people though. That's just great advice for everybody, right? Like so many people, like if we're, especially there's studies that show like if you're watching TV, if you're just sitting down and watching TV, it's going to make you want to eat. That's like, I don't know why, but it does. And so I always just tell people, if you don't keep those things in your house, then guess what? You won't eat them.
Right.
I don't keep sweets in the house because then I'll eat them. So I only keep, I mean, I'll have like Greek yogurt or something, or like a protein bar, like proteins. Like I love. Have you tried those Quest peanut butter cups?
Yes.
Like
I
with
did.
like there's like 1 gram of sugar or something. I'm like, these are so
Yeah.
good. Like
I
those are
just
great.
tried this. It's called athletic protein.
Uh-huh.
And it's this like sweet treats.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's game
I'm like,
changing.
that's the only thing I would have.
It's the
Like I'll
best.
buy that, and then it's like they have all types of like protein brownies, things like
Yes.
that. I'm like, I'm happy with that.
It's
You
so
know?
the industry's come so far because like, I mean, I remember when I started like really getting serious about like lifting and stuff, all we had was like metrics, and that shit
Oh
was
my God, yes,
it was awful. Like,
yeah.
but
I
now like
remember that.
there's so many options. It's just like, okay, like I could have a treat, and it like mentally it feels like I'm treating myself, but I'm not really messing things up too much. But yeah, I don't keep anything bad in the house, and that's how I
Yeah.
solve that problem.
The
All
only
right.
problem I have is when I go to Colombia and come back because
Oh
I bring
yeah.
like bag full of like sweets, and I'm like, oh my God, they're in my house because like my family wants them. So then I'm like waiting for them to pick it up, and I'm like, you guys have to come pick it up.
Right. I love coffee.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously Colombia is like the coffee capital, right? Like
Yes.
where, I mean, I honestly don't even know the answer to this question, but like, does all coffee come from Colombia, or does coffee come from somewhere?
The best coffee comes from Colombia.
I mean, right.
Everybody else, yeah,
Yeah.
everybody else makes their own and stuff like that. But I gotta say, not because I'm Colombian,
No,
but
it's okay.
we do make really good coffee. And I've
Okay.
actually gone to like where, there's an area, there's like coffee, it's like a park, but that's where it like comes from.
Oh,
And you can actually go and like see it, and like it's amazing. You can't even explain the smell or anything
right.
there.
I
It's
mean,
something I definitely go.
I've gotten really into like coffee over the last few years as I've gotten older, I guess. I don't know. Okay, Vanessa, I'm gonna ask you some hard questions now, okay?
Let's do it.
These questions have all been like, easy, but these are some hard-hitting questions, okay? And since you're a trainer and you compete, you can answer them from either like perspective, if you want to answer them from as a trainer or as, you know what I mean? Okay, so who are 3 people in your life that have been the most influential to you? And and also, you don't have to know these people. It could be someone you don't know.
So definitely my trainer. I
Okay.
met her. He's been my number one. I would say, so I wish I had the body type that she does. Everybody knows Danielle Bailey.
Uh-huh.
So I actually got to meet her when I met her. I was like, oh my God, her body is like the best. So
what's her name? I don't know who this is. What's her name?
Dana Lynn Bailey. She used to be a
Dana?
Dana, yeah, DANA.
Uh-huh.
And then Lynn, LINN.
Oh, I see it. I see it. Oh yeah.
She is so humble. Like when you talk to her, I met so many people that they're like just so like, oh, you meet them and you're like, oh great.
Right.
But she is like, when I'm personality wise, her career, everything, like I'm like, wow, like somebody definitely, to look
Okay.
up. And I would say my mom.
Of course. Now, is your mom still in Colombia? Or
No, she's
your mom's in Florida?
yeah, she's in Florida.
Okay, in Miami still?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's a good
I'm coming
answer.
back, mom. I'm coming back.
Okay, what are what's a common, and like I said, you could do about training or like competing, but what's a common myth about your profession that you would like to debunk?
Ooh. I would say one would be all like I think Arnold was the one who said it, I think. Go back to basics. Because all these people start doing like all these crazy exercises with machines and stuff that doesn't even make sense, thinking
Right.
that, like, is the new thing. I understand some things work, but sometimes you look at some of these exercises that people are trying to make up and you're like, just go back to basics.
100%.
Work for Ronnie Coleman, look at Arnold. They always talk about, they stick to basics, and I mean, you do your other workouts, but there's just some workouts that
Yeah, like
you're
new doesn't always mean better. Like
yes.
sometimes it does, but like I mean that can go for like anything, but like yeah, like you still should probably do like a squat and a deadlift and whatever. Like you don't have to do all this fancy stuff, like because
Yes.
I mean ultimately, especially like with bodybuilding, I'm sure I mean diet is really what it comes down to. You get all these crazy workouts, but if your diet isn't where it's supposed to be, then you're not going to have that look on stage that
Yeah, or vice versa. And
Yeah.
another thing, I mean, I can just throw this in there real quick,
Yeah.
like myth-wise, like, all this crazy new, like, diet this, diet that, like this new, all this stuff. And it's like, you can do whatever you want, but just stay consistent to one thing,
Yeah.
And like another thing will be like, those calculators online, that people are like, yo, you can just go online and put the calculator, your age, and it tells you how many calories you have to take. And it's like, not if you're having one meal a day and then going to 2,000 calories. That is not going to work.
Yeah.
So, like a lot of people, like that's the one thing. It's like, hey, like, I don't know, this thing's telling me I should be eating 2,500 calories. I get like DMs or messages about that. He's like, well, I don't know if I can, like I'm only eating this, and that. And then if you look at what they're eating, they're only eating like 500 calories a day.
Right.
So it's like, that's like the new myth now, or that people are like, just eat whatever this says. And it's like, no, it doesn't work like that. You have to build yourself to it,
Yeah, definitely. Okay. What advice would you give someone that wants to get into like competing?
Ooh, that might have been one of them about the whole thing. But I would say, just like stick to it. Like consistency is the one thing. When people go right into the competition, they go right into, I want to do a show this time. And it's like, there's a lot of things that come right before. Like I was saying, with the whole off season that preps you for the season.
Right.
So, just be ready to experience a new physical challenge, because, at the end, it does get really hard. And I've seen a lot of people 2-3 weeks out give up. And you're like, you're almost there, but they were just not ready.
I would say that's so close to just.
Yeah, I'm like, you need it, because it does get hard the last 3 weeks,
Sure,
and it's like, that's the one time where you have no energy, you're always hungry, you might be hangry, and then you still have to train, you still have to do your cardio, and some people just like, I can't do it.
Okay, so I have a follow-up question then, since you're talking about this, because we've had obviously some figure competitors and some bodybuilders on the show, and I know there's different, I know, like, because I know how the body works, like I know everybody's different, right? Like not everyone's prep is going to be the same.
Yes.
Because like I know some people that don't, like, they still have carbs up until they're going to be on stage, and then some people that have zero carbs. So where do you stand in this?
I think like you say, it all depends on the person, because you know, people come to me and they're like, hey, I want to do a keto diet. And you're like, okay, well, first question is, are you carb sensitive? You know, because some people, they go into like, I just want to cut carbs completely because, you know, I want to lose weight.
Right.
So it's kind of this thing. And then people sometimes they prep themselves to go into a show. So I know, like, it depends kind of how the body works. So those people might see that maybe with fats they do a lot better. Like vice versa with me. Like I like sometimes during my whole prep, I can't have avocado, I can't have oil, because actually my body is sensitive to fats.
Interesting.
So I don't really do too good with that. Even peanut butter, which hurts me because I love peanut butter.
Okay, wait, hold on. Avocado. Do you, okay, this is a very serious question. Okay.
Ready.
And I hope you have the correct answer for this question. Do you prefer creamy or crunchy peanut butter?
Crunchy.
Oh, thank God. I don't know why people do creamy. Okay, it's gotta be crunchy.
Yes, it's all crunchy.
Thank you, Vanessa. 100%. Okay, great.
Go.
So okay, so but like, let's say you yourself, so you are more, you don't have a lot of fats, but you have some carbs as you're prepping, like getting closer and closer.
Yeah, well, usually like we'll go like a week before. That's when you deplete, so you kind of go low. So it's kind of like a cycle. So then I go low in carbs, but I still have carbs because my body does good with it. I just go low, so you can kind of like, I call it like a balloon. You disinflate. So then when you're ready to go on the show, like I actually, like the week of the show, like maybe 4 days prior, I start to carb up, which is what we call it. So then you start eating carbs. My carbs are pretty high because my body does good with it. So even like the day of the show, my carbs are really high. Like right before I go on stage.
That's great. Yeah, like I know, like I said, I know everyone's different. Like but if it works for you, I mean, then that's what it is, right? Like
because like I see people even backstage eating like avocado and putting oils, and I'm like, well, I wish I could do that, but so it's like everybody has their own, you know, thing. And like, you know, it goes back to like people who want to try or want to do like you know, weight gain fast, you know, something like that, fasting. I get all this questions about all this different stuff. It's like you can do whatever diet you want, as long as it works for what you do. Like if you work overnight, you do the fasting. You know, if you work like as a nurse, the same thing. Or, you know, if you just have a normal job, you just eat, you know, like a normal time. So it's all about what works for you and what actually, you know, people go into this crazy diet and they're like, I'm going to do it for 30 days. But it's like, no, you need something that's going to work for the rest of your life. Because this is unto you forever.
Like it's like you said, like, you know, even though for the last few, like you know, you were turning 30, so you didn't want to like be in like super prep, but like it's a lifestyle for you. So it's not like you've been just eating like shit this whole time. Like, yeah, like you treated yourself and whatever, but you're still not like going so hard because it's part of your lifestyle. Whereas people that try to like, they don't eat right, and then all of a sudden they try to get super crazy, and then after, like you said, like 30 days, they're like, okay, now I need to go back. I can't do that. I can't maintain this. And they go back to trying to eat normal, and then they gain weight back because they took such drastic measures. You know, it's like, make it a lifestyle. Don't make it something short term.
Yeah. And I always say, go with what you're having, you know, with like, you know, okay, this is what I eat, so that you kind of see like something that, okay, this is how I am right now, and slowly start changing it. So instead of having white bread, start with like, you know, I love Ezekiel bread.
Me too.
I love that. So it's like, just change it to that, you know, like you start changing just like complex carb, simple carb, all that stuff. Like you just start changing little by little, but it's not like I'm going to cut it 100%.
What about, do you like Dave's Killer Bread?
Yes.
Have you tried that one? Yeah, I like that one too.
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah. The one difference I would say is just like the texture. Yeah. Because the one's frozen, the other one's more like fresher.
Yeah. Ezekiel's definitely, you got to keep it in the freezer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would say that, like, that would be the one thing, like, you know, the advice would be like, you know, whatever you're doing, always be consistent. Like, it took a long time, you know, if you look at bodybuilders, they do their career for years, 20 years. So, you know, people will expect something like 6 months, 1 year. And it's like, there's going to be ups and downs. You're going to, like, people are so focused on like weight, and the weight's going to be like this. You know, you gain, you lose, you gain. Next thing you know, you're like down 5, okay, up 10, you know, like that. And that's all part of it. I always call it like a heartbeat, you know, like the heartbeat goes like this. So that's like what the lifestyle is. You're gonna be like this, and that just means that you're living it. Otherwise, like if you're flat, you're like not there. So it's like, you know, it's all part of it.
Okay, one more question. This is a tough one. If you were me, is there something that you would have asked yourself that I did not ask you?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered pretty much. I think I talked a lot.
I got them all. I got all the questions.
I think I talked them all out.
I'll ask a fun question then. Did you watch Narcos?
I did. And
it's good, right?
My mom hated it.
Oh, really?
Yes, I liked it. You know, I mean, there's some things that they just make it up to make it more like thrilling. So not everything is true. Put it out there, nothing's very true. But mom was like, oh, you know, they're putting Colombians and this, and that. And my mom gets like super pissed about it.
Right.
Well,
your mom kind of lived through a lot of that time, right?
Yeah. She definitely lived through all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vanesa, tell everybody, our listeners, where they can find you online.
Awesome. All right. So I will definitely put the name, like if we can write it, because
we'll put it in the show notes too. But some people don't know how to use show notes. Yeah,
my favorite is Vanesa Zuluaga, and that's gonna be hard for someone to find.
Okay.
But my Instagram is Vanesa1fit. So that's usually where I am. I'm working on also my YouTube, which if you let me, I can always, you know, once you put it out there. Just like a little clip of it on my channel so they can link to you.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
And then if they can find me on Instagram, it's Vanesa1fit.
Vanesa.
Yeah.
Spell it in case they don't know how to use show notes.
VANE 1, the number 1. And then my Z, that's my last name.
Got
it. Vanesa1fit.
Okay, yeah, we'll put it in the show notes. But if you guys don't know how to use show notes, you go to the description of the episode, and then there's links in there to help you guys find whoever we have on. And in this case,
because this accent is not working.
No, it's great. I mean, do you do like online coaching or something if people want to reach out to you?
Yeah, I do. I started using also the Zoom as well to do the training. It was working a lot because, you know, sometimes people are still nervous to go into the gym.
No, I know.
So it's been good.
Okay, cool. And that's they could just reach out to you through Instagram then?
Yeah, I didn't even say it. I have my website. It is vanifitness.com.
Okay.
So we can also put it there, and then they can even like fill out the questionnaire there.
Okay, perfect.
They can even reach out to me on Instagram. Perfect. I'm pretty active.
Okay. Well, cool. Thank you so much for doing the show. We appreciate it. You guys follow Vanesa. We can't wait to see you on stage in whatever show you decide to do. Wait, do you have like a place that the show is going to be in? Like, do you know, or do you just kind of have like a date and then you'll figure it out later?
Well, yeah, I think it's going to be in New Jersey.
Okay, cool.
I want to do one in New Jersey, so I don't have to travel too much.
Right.
So I'm waiting for them to do it in New Jersey so I can, but I think there's going to be one in November. So I'm aiming for that one.
Okay, cool. Hopefully it's before Thanksgiving.
100% will be out before Thanksgiving.
Okay. Like I said, thank you so much. You guys, thanks for listening. If you guys are listening to this on Apple, do us a favor and just leave a review or rate it. It'll help us continue to grow the podcast. So we appreciate it. Thank you for listening, PERFORMA Nation. Hang on 1 second. We'll see you guys next week on the PERFORMA POPcast.